All right, and we are live. Good morning po sa lahat-lahat na nandyan sa, or good evening dyan sa mga kaguru natin na nasa Pilipinas. I know it's 7:30 p.m. there of a Sunday sa Pilipinas. Now, of course, it's a chilly morning here. It's a cold morning here in South Carolina, USA. It's 6:30 a.m. of Sunday here in South Carolina, USA. We are below freezing point. Nasa -1, -2 degrees Celsius po kami. Ang sarap matulog, no? But of course, if you are a teacher, you cannot get away with teaching your students. You have to do everything in your power to make your students learn. You have to stay dedicated and you have to stay committed to your teaching. Okay? So again, good morning po sa lahat-lahat. And we welcome, of course, our newbies. Maraming salamat for tuning in. Those of you who are new, we welcome you. It might be through Team YouTube or through Team Facebook. Mababait po silang lahat, no? So welcome po. And of course, we hope that you enjoy while you learn with us through this live stream tonight. Now, on your screen, you can see our YouTube account, your social media accounts for Gurong Pinoy. On YouTube, you can see us as Gurong Pinoy. On Facebook, of course, as also Gurong Pinoy. Make sure that you follow, you are subscribed to these social media. And on Instagram, we are at Gurong Pinoy PH. On TikTok naman po, we are at Gurong Pinoy. Okay? So again, make sure that you are following us, especially on Facebook, because that is where we post all of the announcements that we have. Now, before we start with anything else, of course, we are going to have our opening prayer. This has been prepared for us by Brother Efren Esteban. So samahan niyo po ako sa ating opening prayer.
O Diyos, salamat sa patuloy mong kaloob na biyaya sa bawat isa sa amin. Di po ito kumukupas ni naluluma man. Tunay nga pong maaasahan kang lagi. Sana, Panginoon, sa oras na ito ay muli mo po kaming kalingain sa pamamagitan ng iyong presensya. Ito po ay nagdudulot sa amin ng labis na kaginhawaan ng aming mga kaluluwa. Alam mo po ang lahat ng aming mga plano o iniisip man. Kaya po, tumutulog kami sa inyo na paginhawain at ituro mo po sa amin ang mga tamang hakbangin sa buhay na ito. Panginoon, humihingi po kami ng tunay na kapayapaan, mabunga at masaganang araw ng aming mga buhay. At higit sa lahat, ng totoong pagtatagumpay sa nalalapit po naming licensure examination for teachers. Palitan mo po ng pananampalataya ang aming pagkatakot, ng kalakasan ng aming mahihinang loob, at lalo higit sa lahat ng wastong paggamit ng aming mga oras. Pagpalain mo po ang lahat ng mga nakikiisa sa online review po na ito. Inaako na po namin ang matamis na pagtatagumpay. Sinasamo po namin ang mga kahilingang ito sa matamis na pangalan ni Jesus na aming Diyos at manunubos. Amen.
Amen. So sa muli, maraming salamat, Brother Efren, for always preparing our opening and closing prayers during our live stream. So again, Brother Efren and I, we are planning for your 14-day novena. Gagawin nating 14 days because of course you are going to have your quarantine time. Remember, since we have the COVID right now, you are going to have your quarantine, and you need your certificate that you have actually quarantined and that you are not positive for COVID-19, no? So Brother Efren and I were already talking as to what we can do. So we plan that we are going to have your 14-day novena para nga sa preparation nyo sa let. Now, we know that, of course, we need prayers, we need the guidance of the Lord, we need the guidance of the Holy Spirit so that you can answer to the best of your ability, no? At through the guidance na din ng ating Holy Spirit, maka-answer kayo ng tama sa inyong let. But of course, another way for you to prepare is, of course, to join our live streams. And of course, papaano kayo makakakuha ng ating material sa ating live stream discussion. That is only through Grow. Grow is Gurong Pinoy Review Online Work Group. This is our exclusive FB group. This is where we put all the exclusive materials that we have, all the materials that we're discussing here in our live stream. Right after our live stream, makikita nyo na po lahat ng materials doon sa ating Grow. Okay? So again, Grow is Gurong Pinoy Review Online Work Group. It is very easy. It is very cheap to become a member of Grow. It's only 500 pesos. This is a one-time payment. You You may pay through Palawan, Cebuana, or ML. You may also pay through PayPal. Meron din po tayong Metro Bank account. And of course, there's also the Super Chat Super Sticker through our live stream on YouTube. Okay, now the name, the address, the phone number are all found on your screen. Now, again, right after paying, you should just send your receipt. Okay, send a picture of your receipt through a private message. I repeat, through a private message on our Facebook page, and then we are going to add you to Grow. Now, once you get to Grow, or once we ask you to join Grow, okay, so click nyo po yung link na sinisend namin, you join Grow, and then you can find all the materials there, even those materials from the previous live stream that you have missed. So if you are a newbie, kahit ngayon ka lamang po nag-join, ay makikita mo pa rin lahat ng mga materials namin na nandun previously. Okay, so again, that's 500 pesos. That's a one-time payment until the day that you take the LET. Again, that is until the day that you take the LET. So again nga, make sure that you are following our Facebook page. Make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Balikan lahat ng mga videos natin sa YouTube. And of course, all the important announcements can be found on our Facebook page. So as I've mentioned, Pastor Efren or Brother Efren and I were cooking up something for you, your novena, your preparation for the LET. So abangan nyo po yung mga announcements natin na yan through our Facebook page. Now, of course, there is still your all-in-one enrollment. If your major is bio, social science, English, or math, we have the offer of all-in-one enrollment. It's only 1,250. Again, it's only 1,250, including Gen Ed, ProfEd, and your major. You may also pay through Palawan, LBC, Cebuana, ML, the same details. And of course, we also have the Metro Bank savings account. We also have the link for PayPal and for or Gumroad. Now, all you need to do, of course, for you to know all the details here, go to our Facebook page and send us a message. There are automatic responses there. So for those of you who are not newbies, or those of you who are already members of our group and you send a message, tapos tinanong kayo, or yung reply is about payment, do not be surprised because these replies are automatic. Okay? So automatic replies po ito. That means whenever someone sends a message, usually ito yung nagpa-pop up. Okay? So do not be surprised. Now, again, that's 1,250 only. That's already including your major. This is the cheapest review program that you can find anywhere. And I vouch for the effectivity of our program. We have made thousands of students pass the LET. We have helped several people pass the LET. And you know that you can attest to that because sometimes our previous students would go back, sometimes to watch our live stream and would say hi to me. Okay, so again, it's only 1,250. It's the cheapest. I'm vouching for that. Some review centers would ask you for 7,000 just for Gen Ed and ProfEd and extra payments for their majoring. Again, the advocacy of Gurong Pinoy is not really for money. We only need to ask for some amount because, of course, we're also going to be paying our lecturers. But our main purpose, of course, is to help you. And I know that I have the capacity to help you pass the LET. And I know that I'm doing everything I can and checking everything so that you know that you have the correct answers and you know that you have the correct rationalization. So again, that's only 1,250. That's our all-in-one payment for our enrollment. Gen Ed, ProfEd, that's Grow, and of course your majoring. Now, your majorship coaches are found on your screen. If this is your first time to watch us, you can also find all the details about them on our Facebook page. You have your math coach, Dr. Kim J. Enshaw. He's a LET top-notcher. He ranked third in the LET. And of course, he graduated summa cum laude from West Visayas State University. His major, of course, was mathematics. Your social science major coach, he is a good friend of mine too. He used to be my co-teacher in Ateneo de Iloilo. In the senior high school, he is Professor Rene Oquendo. He used to teach in the University of the Philippines. He also used to teach, he's still teaching in Ateneo de Iloilo. So I know Sir Rene personally because I've worked with him and I can vouch that he can help you pass the LET. You also have your English majorship professor here. That's Professor Paul Heranio, and he has also been working with us previously for several years. He's been with us. He's been our English major coach. So we know also that, of course, Sir Paul is going to help you pass your English majorship and, of course, guarantee that you pass the LET. Sir Paul is also a graduate of the University of the Philippines. He is also still taking up, I think he's currently also taking up law Okay, so we know that these people are, of course, have the capacity, they have the ability, they are very smart people, okay, of genius level people, and they can really help you pass the let. And of course, you know me. If this is your first time to watch me, I'm Ma'am Meg Saison Manaay. I'm not Ma'am Migs, Migs po, Sir Migs or Sir Ram. That's my husband. My name is Ma'am Meg Saison Manaay. Meg stands for Maria Eva Claire, so that's my full name. I'm from Tigbawan, Iloilo. I used to teach in Ateneo de Iloilo. I've also taught in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in international school. I'm currently working here. I'm currently teaching Bio 2, of course, and physical science honors here in Manning High School, Manning, South Carolina. I'm also the science department head. I'm the junior student council advisor. I'm also the coach of the academic challenge team. I am a product of public schools. I went to Tigbawan Elementary School. Then I went to the University of the Philippines High School in Iloilo. Then, of course, my major is biology. Now, when I took the LET, I'm not sure if I've shared this with you. When I took the LET, or maybe I've already mentioned this in some of our live streams, I've been telling you that in my experience, Gen Ed was the hardest. Okay, so Gen Ed was the hardest for me. When I took the LET, my rating for Gen Ed was just 84%. Okay, so Gen Ed rating was 84%. Again, Gen Ed is difficult because the questions can come from anywhere, from any areas, no, from everywhere. And so my Gen Ed score was, or rating was 84%. My ProfEd rating was 89%. So I really love ProfEd, and ProfEd usually is just common sense. All you need is to comprehend the question, analyze the question, take your time, and really read the questions carefully. Usually, I'd always tell my students the answers are usually found in the questions. Okay, so my Prof Ed rating was 89%. My major, which was very easy for me, usually sinasabi nila kung ano yung pinaka-easy sa'yo, no? Pinaka-madali sa'yo during the LET, yun pa yung pinaka-mababa mo. So my bio majorship, it was very easy for me. We were given maybe from 2:30 until 6:30, and I finished it maybe at 3:30. Tapos na ako sa aking bio major, and so I already went out. Hello, Sir Nelo Materbonia, no, used to be our student then. And so as I was saying, tapos na ako after 1 hour. But when I saw my rating, my majorship was only 83%. Okay, so that's the lowest out of the three. And so my average, my average rating, overall rating was 85.6, and top 10 during that time was 85.8. Okay, so konting kembot na lang, no? And so that was one of my worst experience talaga, no? Having bio majorship na napaka-easy, but of course, that was the lowest out of the three components that I have for the LET. But of course, I've learned so much from it, and I know that I can help you pass the LET. Okay, so these are your majorship coaches, and I know that they can really help you pass the LET. In my case, for biology, I've never had a student who failed the LET. Okay, so sinasabi ko nga, do not be the first, because I have consistently have 100% passing percentage for bio majors. Okay, so if you are a bio major, ano pa hinihintay nyo? Mag-enroll na po kayo. Okay, now again, your majorship schedule has already been posted in your Google, not your Google Classroom, in Gurong Pinoy's Facebook page. We start by the 19th of December. So malapit na po yan. After 2 weekends, we start with your Saturdays are going to be your exam. Then your Sundays are going to be the discussion. These are not going to be done live, so hindi po siya live stream. There's only going to be exclusive for all the people, for all the kaguro that have paid for our majorship. Okay, so again, your discussion and your exams are going to be all 50 items are all going to be found in your Google Classroom. Okay, so again, your majorship schedule is from December until March. That's 2 weekends prior to the LEP. And of course, abangan nyo nga po yung ating 14-day novena para sama-sama po kayong mag-quarantine, sama-sama po kayong mag-novena, and that's going to be through the help of Brother Efren Esteban. Okay, now Now, next weekend, remember, next weekend, we are going to have our mid-review examination. This is 200 items, 100 items for your general education, 100 for your professional education. And again, this is going to be exclusive for our Grow members. So we are giving cash prizes to our Grow members. Top one is going to receive 3,000 cash and 2,000 gift certificates. Top two, that's 2,000 cash and 1,500 gift certificates. Top three, that's 1,000 cash and of course 1,000 gift certificates. Top 4 to 10, of course, you are still going to be receiving your 500 gift certificates. So again, this is going to be exclusive for Grow. So if you are still not a member of Grow, magpa-member na po kayo ng Grow before your December 12 na examination. Okay, now another thing, of course, that we are all excited about, maraming tao na yung excited dito, this is going to be our first online Christmas party. That's December 20th at 7:30 p.m. This is going to be done through Zoom Live, so we can all see each other. And of course, we are going to have your Christmas slideshow. I've already posted some announcements on our Facebook page. All you need to do for the Christmas slideshow is to send a picture of yourself, okay? So sending your picture in Christmas attire to StudyLink Teachers page at gmail.com on or before December 30th, okay, to join our Christmas party and to be eligible, of course, for our raffle draw. So only those who've joined our Christmas party and also sent their picture are going to be included in our raffle draw. Please include your name and location when sending your picture so that we'll know kung nasaan nga ba yung ating mga kaguro, okay? So that's for our Christmas slideshow. Now, ang ating namang Christmas choral, we have the mechanics there. The choral group must consist of 5 to 8 members. The members must be bona fide Gurong Pinoy students. The group may perform any Christmas carols or medley or medley. It's English, Filipino, or in any language. The songs must be memorized and sung a cappella. The group can perform in any appropriate attire or costume. The performance time is from 5 to 10 minutes. Their criteria for judging can be found on your screen. This can also be found on our Facebook page. We also have the Once Upon a Christmas. I'm not going to go into the details of that. You can also find this in our Facebook page. Now, of course, I've already posted your group mates. You can also find this in our Facebook page. Now, I know that some of the groups already have their chat groups. Nakapag-form na po sila ng chat groups nila. And so, kung wala pa po kayo sa chat group and you are part of a group there, make sure that you contact your group mates. Okay? So, i-contact nyo po yung inyong mga group mates and make sure that you cooperate with them. Lahat dapat nagpa-participate. Okay? So, dapat po yung mag-participate kayo para, of course, you are included in our raffle draw. Okay, so there's a question here, Ma'am Merlene Cardo. Ma'am, kahit hindi naka-enroll po dito, updated pa rin sa mga new video nyo. Opo, dahil of course our videos are done through live stream. So, makikita nyo pa rin po yung ating live stream videos. Now, for those of you whose majorships are not offered, again, TLE, marami tayong TLE, no? Pero nahihirapan kasi tayo maghanap ng ating lecturers for TLE. Of course, we know that TLE is the most difficult major dahil napakarami yung area, no? And iba-iba yung area nyo. And so, nahihirapan po kami maghanap ng inyong lecturer. And so, we don't know what we can offer you. Maybe the least that we can do is ask for some lectures from those that we know, but we cannot really guarantee that we are going to have the full majorship package for our TLE dahil nga mahirap maghanap ng inyong lecturer, someone who is well-rounded sa lahat ng areas ng TLE dahil napakahirap nga ng TLE major. So we will see what we can do. Okay, now, closing prayer na to. But of course, tonight, of course, the main goal that we have right now is to discuss your professional education. This has already been answered through your quizzes. If this is your first time to watch us, or if you still have not had any chance to access our quizzes, our quizzes book can be found in our Google Classroom. So meron na po tayong 4 na sections. Later on, again, if you want to join, okay, all you need to do is to go to our Facebook page and send us a message. Mag-message po kayo at huwag po kayo magagalit pag hindi po kami agad naka-reply dahil meron po tayong 13-hour difference. So advance po yung Pilipinas ng 13 hours. So minsan, pag nag-chat kayo, for example, ng 1 p.m. in the Philippines, it's midnight here in South Carolina, or sometimes you chat at 3 p.m., it's 2 a.m. in South Carolina. And we don't really stay awake, no? Me and my husband, we have our day jobs. I'm a teacher. My husband is also working here. And so we cannot really reply, especially if we're sleeping, okay? So make sure that you just send us a message and we will reply as soon as we can. All right? Oh, okay na. Group 1, Laban Japan. Sabi ni Ma'am Mylene Pontillas. Okay, so shout out po sa lahat-lahat. I cannot read all of your greetings there pa isa-isa. But of course, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening sa lahat. Okay, move ko lang to ng slide. All right, so we start with our ProfEd with question number 1. Number 1, to ask the class any insight derived from the poem is based on the theory of, is it letter A, essentialism, letter B, behaviorism, letter C, conditioning, or letter D, constructivism? What's your answer for number 1? What is your answer for number 1? Now, again, thank you so much for those people who have already reacted to our video on Facebook. Again, please do react to our video if you're watching us on Facebook. Excuse me. And of course, please do share our video, start a watch party, tag your friends, share it on your Facebook account, share it in all the groups that you have joined on Facebook so that we can reach out to more people. We can also help them pass the let. Ma'am Jovelyn Gomora, pwede pa po kayong humabol for your majorship. Pwede pa po kayong mag-enroll for your majorship. Now, of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, YouTube people, Team YouTube, please do like our video. We still see a lot of people not liking the video, so please do like the video. And of course, mag-like po, hindi po dislike. Okay, so go ahead and please do like our video, react to our video, start a watch party. Maulana Dalidigan Ramla, maraming salamat po for starting a watch party. Okay, now a lot of people on Team Facebook are answering letter D. Okay, now dito sa ating Team YouTube, many are also answering letter D. Letter D, karamihan. And of course, we know that that is the correct answer. Okay, this is constructivism. Ma'am Dax Akle, thank you for starting a watch party. To ask the class any insight derived from the poem is based on the theory of. We know that this is constructivism. So sabi ng constructivism, do not give the definition of the word to the child, okay? But instead, give the child several experiences, varied activities, so that the child may come up with his own explanation or may come up with his own definition of the term, okay? So bigyan mo siya ng different activities, hindi definition. Let him construct his own meaning of the word. Now, we know that conditioning is just part of behaviorism. You have two types of conditioning. We are also going to discuss this later. Behaviorism, of course, your belief here is that you can make a child become whatever you want him to be as long as it is shaped by your environment. So pwede mo siyang gawing engineer, doktor, no, your teacher, depende kung paano mo shinape or inarrange yung kanyang environment. The environment plays a very important role in the development of the child. The child has no choice because of his environment. Yan yung sinasabi ng behaviorism. Essentialism, of course, these are your traditionalists. Ito yung pinaka-traditional na klase ng ism, ng school of thought. So sabi ng essentialism, it is only the teacher that is the source of knowledge. The students don't learn from each other. The students or the teacher cannot learn from the students. So we know that this is not true because as teachers, we also learn from our students. So that's essentialism. Okay, now, of course, for number 1, the correct answer is letter D. Now, if you still have not watched this video that we have here, this is titled Isms of Education. You can find this on YouTube. I think you can also find this on Facebook. Tingnan nyo po to, lahat po ng isms ay na-discuss natin dyan. Okay? Now, again, Ma'am Janelle Morillo, maraming salamat po for sharing our video. Yes, Ma'am Jackie Lou, there is a question here. Ma'am Mek, ako po by September 2021 pang schedule ng board exam. Yung payment ko po ba considered up to September or hanggang March lang po ang coverage? Of course, we're always saying your payment is until the day that you take the let. So you don't need to pay another amount. No, so continuously lang po, Ma'am Jackie, and of course, continuously you need to watch our video dahil every weekend naman iba-iba yung ating items. Okay? So, we're not repeating the items. Every weekend, iba-iba po yung items. So, patuloy lamang po kayong mag-review, patuloy lamang po kayong mag-watch ng video so that, of course, you can have more time to prepare for your LET in September. Okay, now number 2, in the context of the 6 facets of understanding cited by Wiggins and McTighe, what is a proof of the student's understanding of a principle? Is it letter A, repeating the principle given by the teacher, letter B, applying it to solve his or her problem, letter C, stating it from memory, or letter D, memorizing it? What's the correct answer for number 2? Oh, first-timers natin dito sa Team YouTube, Ma'am Richelle or Rachel Padding. Hello po, ma'am. Okay, paki-welcome naman si Ma'am Richelle. Paki-welcome yung ating mga first-timers sa Team YouTube. Meron pa akong nakita dyan kanina, si Sir Ruel, no? Team YouTube, maraming salamat. Of course, welcome po. Ang layo ng aking laptop, kaya yung mukha ko nakikita nyo. Let me just move it a bit. Okay. Now, of course, dito naman sa ating Team Facebook, welcome din po sa ating mga first-timers. Maraming salamat. And of course, balik-balik po kayo. If this is your first time to watch us, make sure that you review all the videos that we have. So many videos that we have on YouTube. Balikan niyo po lahat ng yan. Sir Sean Anthony Larazi, thank you for starting a watch party. Ganon din kay Ma'am Marjorie Medrano Gumimaw and Ma'am Marivic Guerrero. Maraming salamat po. Okay, in the context of the 6 facets of understanding cited by Wiggins and McTighe, what is a proof of the student's understanding of a principle? We've already discussed this. Now, we've already had a topic on this in our previous live stream. And of course, we know that the correct answer here would be letter B, applying it to solve his or her problem. Okay, not just repeating the principle that was given by the teacher, stating it from memory or memorizing it. You see, letter C and D are the same. Okay, so you can already eliminate this letter A that's just repeating the principle, and that is not the correct answer. Of course, the correct answer here would be letter B. Now, these are the different facets of understanding, the 6 facets of understanding, according to Wiggins and McTighe. We know that the person or the student has understood our lesson if that student can already explain it, okay? If the student can already explain the lesson or the concept using his own terms, using his own words, not only from memory. If the student can interpret information, if he can see some graphs, for example, or some conclusion, and he can interpret it and he can come up with something new, then we know that that person, the student, has acquired understanding. If the student can already apply it to his real life problems, so we know na understand na niya, no? Understood na niya yung topic na yon. If the student can analyze different points of view, so nakikita niya, for example, if you're talking about politics in the Philippines, nakikita niya yung perspective of the DDS and nakikita niya yung perspective ng mga dilawan, no, yung tinatawag nating dilawan, then you know that the student has an understanding already. Hindi siya one-sided lamang. If the student can empathize, again, when you say empathize, you can put yourself into the shoes of another person, or you can feel for the person, then you know that the student has already acquired understanding. And of course, the last one here is when the student already has the self-knowledge. And this means this is metacognition. The student already can think about his thinking, can learn about his learning, then we know that that student has already acquired or has already reached the facet of understanding that we want him to reach. Okay, so these are the 6 facets of understanding as given by Wiggins and McTighe. Now we go to number 3. Which of the following is an example of an intrinsic motivator? Thank you for sharing our video, and first-timer dito sa Team Facebook, Ma'am Shar Antilino. Ma'am ba or sir? Kasi dalawang tao yung nasa profile pic. Welcome to Team Facebook! Paki-welcome naman po kay Ma'am Shar or kay Sir Shar na first time po manood sa atin ngayon sa Facebook. Okay, now we are already at number 3. Ano kaya yung tamang sagot for question number 3? Ma'am Marivic Guerrero, thank you po for starting a watch party. Thank you for sharing our video. Ma'am Warda Jamila Sabang Labidon. Okay, for number 3 here, the question is, which of the following is an example of an intrinsic motivator? Now, remember, we have 2 types of motivation. You have your intrinsic motivation, and of course, you also have your extrinsic motivation. Now, of course, when we say in, or when we use the prefix in, that means inside, within. When you use the prefix X, that means outside, okay? So outside. So pag X mo na, wag mo nang papasukin ulit sa iyong puso, okay? Wag mo nang papasukin ulit sa iyong buhay dahil X na nga siya, dapat outsider na siya. All right, so again, the question here is, which one is an example of your intrinsic motivator? That means motivation that is found within yourself. Hindi siya something that's given as a reward, hindi siya bonus, okay? So that means hindi po pwede yung pay increase, hindi po pwede yung promotion, hindi din po pwede yung excellent working conditions. The correct answer, of course, would be letter C, satisfaction in a job well done. That's the correct answer. Okay, so letter C po ang tamang sagot for question number 3. We go to number 4. A school wants to develop the learner's metacognitive skills. Which practice is inconsistent with the school's goal? Ma'am Alisa Irabagon, I can see you are sending messages to Gurong Pinoy. I'm not sure if my husband is awake and can answer your question, but I will be looking at your question later. Oh, wag na hanapin si X, sabi ni Ma'am Phil on Facebook. Thank you so much for starting a watch party. Lagot, mga X, wala nang second chance. Okay, so sabi ni Ma'am Eva Cuenca on Team YouTube. Hindi mo ba inaasahan yon, Ma'am Tin? X na ba siya? May second chance pa daw, sabi ni Ma'am RV. Okay, number 4. Ano yung sagot nyo for number 4? Ma'am MC Curlex Quinones, maraming salamat po for starting a watch party. Ganon din kay Sir Carlos Lucip. Alright, so again, your school here wants to develop metacognitive skills, no? Metacognition. So again, when we say metacognition, dapat thinking about thinking, learning about learning. That means the student already has self-awareness. Alam na niya yung kanyang learning, alam na niya kung saan yung mga na-reach niyang goal or objective, alam niya kung saan pa siya dapat mag-focus at concentrate, no, sa ang area. Maraming salamat sa ating consistent na paayuda, Ma'am Joy Dairit, ang ating midwife. Maraming salamat po. Now, katulad sa inyong case, no, when you are trying to apply metacognition, dapat alam nyo na saan ba ako mahina. Is it in Gen Ed? Is it in ProfEd? Is it in my major? Now, remember, if you have a major, if you are a BS Ed graduate, no, pag BS Ed graduate kayo, your majorship is going to be 40%, 40% din yung inyong ProfEd, then of course 20% for your Gen Ed. Kung wala naman kayong major, if you are a B.Ed graduate, that's going to be 60% of your professional education, then 40% for your Gen Ed. So dapat by now, alam mo na kung saan ka mas magaling, no? Kung saan ka mas magaling, kung saan ka pa kailangan mag-focus at kailangan mag-work harder. So dapat meron kang metacognition, that's metacognitive skills. Now, which practice is inconsistent? Hinahanap natin yung hindi consistent dito, inconsistent with the school's goal. And of course, you have the choices: rote teaching, emphasis on HOTS, constructivist instruction, authentic assessment. Now, of course, the correct answer here would be letter A, that's rote teaching. Rote teaching is just memorization. Pinapa-memorize mo lang yung bata. Emphasis on HOTS, we know that HOTS means higher order thinking skills. So that is your analysis, synthesis, evaluation. And this, of course, is very important in the learning of our students. Constructivism, we already discussed this. When you say constructivism, you are not just giving the meaning of the word, but you are making the student form his own meaning of the word. And authentic assessment, of course, when you say authentic assessment, you are giving evaluations, you are giving assessments that are true to life, okay? Real life evaluation. Kaya meron tayong performance tasks sa ating mga subjects ngayon, no? We are giving authentic assessment. So these, again, are very important in the formation of metacognitive skills. The correct answer is rote teaching. Now we go to number 5. Riza knows that when their family goes out for dinner, she needs to follow certain rules and mind her manners at the table. Such set of standards is an example of what? Maraming salamat, President Loreto Agbayani Balikaw, for your paayuda. Thank you, sir. Our President on Team YouTube. Okay, so again, maraming salamat po for all our first-timers. Make sure that you go back to all the videos that you've missed. Balikan nyo po lahat ng mga old videos natin. And of course, follow all our social media accounts, especially our Facebook page. We also have our own app. And I'm not sure if my husband has placed the link to our app there. You can easily download the app in your phone and you can easily see all the updates there. Mas madali kasi sa app. Ma'am Mary Jane Ocon, ngayon lang ulit nakapag-live si ma'am. Okay, so habol na po ma'am. Welcome to all first-timers, sabi ni ma'am Mary Jane Ocon. You came to the right place to review. Maraming salamat po. Ma'am Marites Villarreal, good evening, ma'am. Di po ako maka-open ng Zoom apps, kaya di po ako maka-attend sa meeting. Bakit po, ma'am? This, I think, is for the Christmas party. Again, make sure that you are communicating with your group mates. Mag-communicate po kayo sa inyong group mates. Form your or choose your leader, of course. I'll be posting something later. So yung leader nyo, yung kukunan ko ng names ng all those people who are going to be joining in our competitions. Sir Adolfo Pimentel Mari, maraming salamat po for starting a watch party. Medyo na late daw si sir. Okay lang po sir, habol po. Alright, so again, we are already at number 5. Number 5 natin dito. May question si Sir Sean Larazi dito sa Team Facebook. Sino po ang president dito sa FB? Wala pang president dito sa FB. Nasaan ba si Ma'am Medeth? Okay, number 5, Riza knows that when their family goes out for dinner, she needs to follow certain rules and mind her manners at the table. Such set of standards is an example of, is it A, pre-conventional, letter B, conventional, letter C, post-conventional rule, or letter D, between pre-conventional and conventional? Of course, we are looking for the different moral development theory, moral development dito, no? And so the correct answer here is letter B. Letter B po, that's conventional rule. Okay, so I think many of you got the correct answer. Now, this, of course, was the moral development stages according to Lawrence Kohlberg. So Lawrence Kohlberg has given us the 3 levels. That would be pre-conventional, conventional level, and post-conventional level. Now, when you say conventional, you are following the norms of your society. Kaya siya tinatawag na conventional. Pag sinabi mong conventional, that means accepted siya by the society. Okay? Now, each of these level here have 2 stages. Now, I repeat, conventional, when you say conventional, that is accepted by your society. Pre-conventional level, this is called pre-conventional level because at this stage, the child really does not understand yet why there are rules. Okay, he or she still has no grasp of the rules. The child is still very young. Post-conventional, we call this post-conventional because the person here can already go beyond what is given by the rule. Now, let's go to the different stages that we have here. Stage 1, under pre-conventional level, as I've mentioned, when you say pre-conventional, the child still does not understand why there are certain levels or there are certain rules or laws. Now, stage 1 here, the child is only doing something because the child does not want to be punished, okay? The child does not want to be punished, hindi niya gustong mapalo, and so the child is going to behave in such a way. Now, stage 2 mo dito, aiming at reward. This is give and take, no? Yung stage 2 natin, tinatawag natin itong give and take. So, gagawin ko yung isang bagay pag alam ko meron akong makukuha in return. I scratch your back because I know that you are also going to scratch my back later, okay? So that's your stage 2, aiming at reward. Now, stages 3 and 4 natin, again, these are all under your conventional level, and at this point, the child already knows why certain rules are going to be followed. Now, stage 3 mo dito, that's the good boy and good girl attitude. Okay, so this child here, the child here would do certain things because he or she would want to feel accepted. He or she would want to belong to his or her society. So he'd want to have the good boy, good girl image. Ito yung mga tinatawag nating teacher's pet. Yung teacher's pet mo nasa stage na to. Okay, so yung stage 4 natin, loyalty to law and order, the child here would want to follow the laws that were set by the government, by the authorities. Now, yung post-conventional level mo naman, sabi nga ni Lawrence Kohlberg, not all people can reach this stage. Okay? Not all people can reach this level. Sometimes a person would just die until or that person would just reach the conventional level. Wala siyang sarili niyang desisyon. So, follow lamang siya ng follow no nahihirapan siya magdesisyon. Maraming tao, sabi ni Lawrence Kohlberg, na hindi nakaka-reach ng post-conventional level. When you go to your post-conventional level, there is the justice and the spirit of the law. So these are already higher principles na. Mas maprinsipyo na yung tao dito. Sometimes it is the belief of the person is no longer within the context of the law. No? Hindi na siya sakop ng law. Yung mga nakikita nyo nagrarally, for example, meron na silang sarili nilang paninindigan, they already can go against what is given by the law. Okay, so that's justice and the spirit of the law. Stage 6 mo, of course, that's the highest universal principles of ethics. Okay, so these are already very principled person or very principled people. So as I've mentioned, Lawrence Kohlberg said some people just die without reaching the post-conventional level. So again, these are the 6 different stages that we have in the 3 levels according to Lawrence Kohlberg's moral development theory. But of course, our answer for the previous question was conventional level. Okay, so she knows that there are rules that she needs to follow. Now we go to, before we go to the next item, all these are already discussed in this video here. So kung hindi nyo pa po napapanood yung video natin na to, halos lahat ng laws in education, yung theories, lahat ng theories in education, I have discussed in this video. So balikan nyo po yan. You are going to learn from this video that I have here. The thumbnail is this. Okay, so balikan nyo po yan sa ating YouTube channel later. Now, for number 6, which of the following activities should be incorporated in the elementary level? Is it letter A, creating a list of classroom duties that needed to be completed on scheduled basis? Letter B, utilizing physical activity to teach fairness and sportsmanship. Letter C, incorporating guest speakers to expose students to many career choices. Or letter D, utilizing physical activity to help relieve stress, negative feelings, and improve moods. What do you think is the correct answer for question number 6? Okay. Ano kaya yung tamang sagot for question number 6? Okay, we have a message here on Team Facebook, no? Hi, Mamek. Dami ko na po notes from Gurong Pinoy. Maraming salamat po. God bless. Watching from Batangas. Maraming salamat din po, Ma'am Lady Lee, Maristela. Thank you for sharing our video, Ma'am Jenlyn Silva. Nahirapan daw siya, mahina ang signal. Kapit lamang po. Ayon si Ma'am Medeth Tanudra, yan yung inyong president sa Facebook. Marami din sila dyan. Marami sila sa Facebook na tumutulong sa atin. Minsan pag may questions, yung mga newbies, for example, they would answer the questions. Okay, so they are very accommodating. Huwag po kayong mahihiya sa ating mga first-timers, no? Welcome po kayo sa ating Team YouTube and Team Facebook. All right, now what is your answer for number 6? We're looking for the reason why we have physical activities. Now, why we have physical activities at the elementary level. Okay, so iba-iba na yung inyong answer. May A, may B, may D, may C. Okay, dito naman sa ating Team YouTube, Team Facebook, iba-iba din. Okay, so ano kaya yung tamang sagot? So again, number 6 mo dito, which of the following activities should be incorporated in the elementary level? Now, as you can see, there is the use of the term should be incorporated in the elementary level. Ano dapat yung objective? Why we have your physical activities? Is it to create a list of classroom duties that needed to be completed on scheduled basis? Is it to utilize these physical activities to teach fairness and sportsmanship? Is it letter C, incorporating guest speakers to expose students to many career choices? Or letter D, utilizing physical activity to help relieve stress, negative feelings, and improve moods. Again, we are looking for certain activities that should be incorporated at the elementary level. And we know that the correct answer here would be letter B. Letter B pong tamang sagot dito. So your main objective, of course, at the elementary level, no, yung pinaka-focus natin, of course, was to develop yung sportsmanship and fairness, to teach fairness and sportsmanship sa ating mga estudyante. Nakikita nyo nga yung ibang post minsan about sa elementary level na elementary ng Japan, wala daw silang exam. They don't start the examination until grade 4 because they want to develop the values first instead of the mental capacity of the student. So it should be teaching fairness and sportsmanship. Kaya kahit na very young pa lang yung ating mga kids ay pinapa-play na natin sila because we want to teach them these very important values, these very important attributes. Okay, so fairness and sportsmanship, these are our main goals in our young children, our elementary level. Okay, so hindi naman relieve stress, wala pa silang masyadong stress dyan, no? Wala pa masyadong negative feelings. Incorporating guest speakers to expose them to many career choices. We don't usually do this, no? Usually high school na to or sometimes college level na. Creating a list of classroom duties. We know that sometimes you give them duties, but of course, the most important thing here is to teach them fairness and sportsmanship. Okay, so letter B is the correct answer for number 6. Now, we go to number 7. Okay, question number 7 is there. Basahin ko lamang itong tanong ni Sir Ferdinand Molina on Team YouTube. Ma'am, ask lang po if pwede ba mag-change ng venue of exam kung need pa ng quarantine. If you need to change the venue of your exam, sir, you need to tell the PRC. Sabihin niyo po kung saan kayo mag-e-exam. And you still need to quarantine. Remember yung quarantine certificate nyo po, that's one of the annexes there, no? Merong hinahanap sila, may kukunin silang annex sa inyo, may kukunin silang document sa inyo during the time that you take the LEP. Na nasa Facebook page na po natin yan, na nakapaskil na po doon, nakapost na po doon. So you need to give them your quarantine certificate. If you have been around people who are suspected to have COVID, kailangan yung magpa-swab test yata or pa-rapid test. So tingnan nyo po yung nakapost natin doon. That is with regards to the memo of the PRC. And of course, you can also download the annexes. Meron po tayo sa Gurong Pinoy online group. Meron din po tayo sa Grow. So tingnan nyo po yan lahat. Okay, now the Department Head of Education sa or Edukasyon sa pagpapahalaga, values education to, no, ask his teachers to enhance their students' moral reasoning. Which of the following techniques can satisfy this objective? Letter A, providing students with developmentally appropriate education. Letter B, presenting a morally ambiguous situation and asking the students what they would do. Letter C, challenging the students to perform beyond their abilities and do assigned tasks independently. Or letter D, inviting successful graduates of the school to talk about their experiences to the students. What's your answer for this question here? Number 7, again, we're talking about the head of values education. Sabi daw ng values education, gusto niyang i-enhance yung moral reasoning ng ating mga estudyante. So which of the following techniques do you think should you do? And the correct answer here, of course, would be letter B. So presenting a morally ambiguous situation, isang sitwasyon, yung tinatawag nating moral dilemma. So may moral dilemma yung student, bibigyan mo siya ng chance to make his or her choice. And the choice of the student would be dependent on his morality, on her or on his morality. And so, and asking the students what they do. So, that's the correct answer. Letter B, Mary Grace Mabansag on Team Facebook. Maraming salamat po for starting a watch party. Ganon din kay Sir EKG or EKJ Castro. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen this. Nakikita ko tong ad na to lagi sa ating Facebook, no? Sa Facebook, while you're scrolling Facebook, sometimes you'd see this ad pop up. Okay, so this is a mobile game which is called Choices. And this actually this is a type of game that is giving us your moral dilemma. So binibigyan ka siya ng kanya ng choice. For example here, no, choose magic. What will you do with your powers? Would you make love potions? Would you fight evil? Would you get revenge? Make your choice. Why is there a girl's voice? Trust him or spy on them? Of course, choose love here. Who should I pick? He's always been faithful, so I'm going to stick with my boyfriend. Or love doesn't have limits, so I can play with somebody else. Okay, so these are your moral dilemma. These are going to give you a chance to make your moral choices. Your choice is going to be dependent on your morality. Okay, so this is a game that I found in Facebook. All right, now number 8, based on Freud's theory, which operates when a student hits a classmate at the height of anger? Is it letter A, ego, letter B, id, letter C, id and ego interact, or letter D, super ego? Okay, what do you think is the answer for question number 8? Okay, may question dito si Sir GJ Mortab on Team YouTube. Kung ang lugar nyo ay nakalagay sa September 2021 na schedule for board exam, doon lang po ba kami na month magte-take or March pa rin? Pag meron na po kayong application for March, then you can take that in March. Okay, dahil yung March kasi, what I mean is yung magte-take po kasi ng March sa March 2021, March 28, 2021 are those with applications for March 2020 and September 2020. So kung meron po kayong NOAA from March 2020 na exam dapat or from September 2020 na exam dapat, and so you can take the LET in March 2021. But of course, for you to be sure, po pwede pa rin po na magtanong kayo sa PRC, yan po yung pinaka-guarantee natin na tama yung inyong gagawin. All right, now we have the question here, no? Sabi ng question, based on Freud's theory, which operates when a student hits a classmate at the height of your anger? So again, you are given several choices here. Your ego, again, this is ego, hindi po ego, ha? Hindi siya pinopronounce as ego. This is ego. You have letter B, id. Your letter C is id and ego interact. Or letter D, super ego. Of course, the correct answer here would be letter B. That's the id. That's the animalistic side of the person. Okay, so id po yung tamang sagot dito. That's letter B. Now, this of course is according to Sigmund Freud. Okay, galing po ito sa ating lolo Sigmund Freud. According to him, our choices, our actions are influenced by these three parts, no, or three things. Your id, this is where you can find your innate desires, pleasure seeking, aggression, sexual impulse. Your libido is part of the id. Hunger, your thirst, that's part of the id. Yung super ego mo naman, this is the moralistic side of you. Moral, ethical values, these are parental. Yung ego mo naman, this is the balance between the two. So that's the balance between the two. This is the mature adaptive behavior. So again, if you are being animalistic, no? Wala kang pakialam. You want something and you want it now and you follow whatever it is that you want, your desires, libido, hunger, thirst, sexual impulse, that would be under the id. Yung super ego mo, again, that's the moralistic side of you, okay? So yung mga pare, madre, no, moralistic, that's your super ego. Then of course, your ego is the balance between the two. So for example, you have a boyfriend and merong lalaking nagpaparamdam sa'yo, or you have a girlfriend at merong isang babae na nagpaparamdam sa'yo. Now, you have a choice. And according to Sigmund Freud, your action, your choices are influenced by these three. So if you are going to entertain the thought or entertain that person, no? So kahit na alam mong meron kang boyfriend, kung gusto mong i-entertain yung taong yan kasi kinikilig-kilig ka rin sa kanya, no? Sa babaeng yan or lalaking yan, then you are following the id. Okay, so animalistic side, I want this thing and I want it now. I have no regard for other people's feelings. That's the id. But when you are very wary, okay, napaka-worried mo at hindi mo gusto, ayoko, kinakabahan ako, hindi ko siya dapat i-accept yung kanyang friend request dahil baka landiin lang niya ako, no? Hindi ko dapat i-accept yung friend request na to dahil meron na akong boyfriend, meron na akong girlfriend. So hindi na ako dapat nakikipag-usap pa sa ibang lalaki lalaki or ibang babae. And so we can say that that's the superego. That's the moralistic point of view, no, moralistic side of you. Now, yung ego mo naman, that's the balance. So sasabihin mo, for example, if we're talking about Facebook, sasabihin mong, okay, I will accept his friend request or her friend request dahil kaklase ko siya sa Gurong Pinoy. For example, you've met him or met her online through our review. I will accept his friend request or her friend request, but I will make sure that whenever we have a conversation, the conversation is strictly about the review. So I will not be entertaining any other topic, no, especially if nilalandi na niya ako, nafe-feel kong nilalandi na niya ako, then I would divert his attention. I will go back to all the topics that we have na review lamang. So that's the ego. The balance between the two, you would be accepting the friend request, but you should set your limit. Okay, so these are the different types of things that would influence our actions according to Sigmund Freud. But of course, the correct answer here or in our previous question was the id. Okay, so id po yung tamang sagot doon. Now we go to, yes, before we go go back to this video there. I have discussed all these things in this video. Okay, so hanapin niyo po yung thumbnail natin na may purple background. Now we go to number 9. Sexual urges remain repressed and children mostly interact with same-sex peers. These instances are under the blank. Is it letter A, anal stage, letter B, latency stage, letter C, phallic stage, or letter D, genital stage? What's your answer? Okay, now some of the people here are looking for their group mates. Kung kagrupo po nila kayo, no, tingnan nyo po yung nakapost natin sa ating Facebook page. Nandun na po yung ating mga group. So, pag kasali po kayo sa isang grupo, kaway-kaway po kayo sa inyong group mates. Make sure that you have your chat group at magplano na po kayo. All the mechanics and the criteria of our contest are there now. Okay, so tingnan niyo po yung criteria for our Christmas choral and of course for our Once Upon a Christmas, your storytelling contest. Wala na po tayong Gurong Pinoy. Okay, so we only have the choral contest. You also have your Once Upon a Christmas, and of course you have your raffle draw. And of course, don't forget yung picture nyo, isend nyo na po sa ating email address, and of course don't forget your name and your location when you send it. Okay, now karamihan sa inyo dito on Team Facebook, their answer is letter B. Iba-iba din yung answer dito sa ating Team YouTube. All right, number 9, sexual urges remain repressed and children mostly interact with same-sex peers. These instances are under the blank. Sir EKJ, paano po makikita yung groups dito po sa ating Facebook page? Pagkatapos po ng live later, i-hit nyo lang po yung ating profile picture or yung pangalang Gurong Pinoy dyan sa taas para makita nyo po yung mga posts natin. Is this the anal stage, latency stage, phallic stage, or genital stage? So sabi dito sa question mo, sexual urges are repressed and children mostly interact with same-sex peers. Okay, the correct answer here, of course, would be letter B. That's latency stage. Latency po. Now, these are the different stages in the psychosexual development theory or psychosexual theory according to Freud. Makikita nyo pa rin po ito sa ating YouTube video kanina na pinakita ko. Now, yung purple po yung background ng kanyang thumbnail. Now, according to Freud, we have 5 stages in our psychosexual development. You have the oral stage, which is from birth to 1 year. You also have the anal stage, which is from 1 to 3 years old. Meron ka ding phallic stage, which is from 3 to 6. Then you have the latent stage or latency, which is from 6 to puberty. Then, of course, you have the genital stage from puberty to death. Okay, now, usually when I teach this, I would use the acronym ALS, always play late games. Again, owls, always play late games. Okay, so that is our acronym for Freud's psychosexual stages. So meron tayong 5 psychosexual stages dito. And according to Freud, in each stage, we have what you call your erogenous zone. So when you say erogenous zone, these are the different parts of our body that would give us sexual satisfaction. Ito yung sabi ni Lolo Sigmund Freud nyo. So sabi niya, in the oral stage, from birth to 1 year, the erogenous zone is the mouth. And we can see this from very young kids, no, from the infants. Kaya kahit na anong damputin ng infants ay nilalagay niya sa kanyang mouth. The zone of erogenous or erogenous zone, the zone of satisfaction or sexual satisfaction in infants is going to be the mouth, no? So dyan siya nagkaka-satisfaction through the mouth. Kaya hindi po pwedeng maglagay ka ng mga toys na maliliit, kaya yung mga toys natin minsan may label na not for children 3 years old and below, dahil minsan dadamputin nila kahit ano makita nila, ilalagay nila sa kanilang bunganga, no? So sometimes it can cause choking. So that's your mouth. According to Sigmund Freud again, the erogenous zone from oral stage would be the mouth. Now, sa inyo namang anal stage, bago ko puntahan yung mga fixation, no? Sa anal stage naman, from 1 to 3 years, yung erogenous zone niya would be the bowel and bladder control. So sa anus, no? That's why it's called the anal stage. During this time, the student should be toilet trained. So dapat yung anak mo toilet train mo siya, no? Because this, of course, the bowel or your anal stage, the anus is the zone of satisfaction. Now, the phallic stage here, phallic, of course, this came from the term phallus, which means the sexual organ that we have. Now, from 3 to 6 years old, your erogenous zone, of course, these are the genitals. So, phallic stage yan. Kasama dito yung tinatawag nating Oedipus complex and Electra complex. So, yung pag sinabi mong Electra complex, the daughter would be competing with the mom or competing against the mother for the attention of the father. Okay? So, nagko-compete siya sa nanay niya para makuha yung atensyon ng tatay. That's your Electra complex. Yung Oedipus complex mo naman, that's the opposite. Yung batang lalaki, the son, is competing against the father for the attention of the mom. Okay, so that's your Oedipus complex. So kasama yan sila sa phallic stage. Of course, the erogenous zone here would be the genital. So dito nakikita natin minsan yung bata, pinaglalaruan yung kanya. No, pinaglalaruan yung kanya, ine-explore yung kanya. So wag niyo pong sasabihin na ay manyakis tong batang to, manang-mana sa ama niya, no? Wag niyo pong sabihin na ganyan dahil in this stage as teachers, dapat alam natin yung psychology ng bata, dapat alam natin na the child is in her or his phallic stage. So the erogenous zone is the genital. So the child is just exploring whatever it is that he or she can see, no? So it is but natural for the child. Dapat natural sa child yan. Dapat we guide the child, we don't discriminate or we don't criticize the child. Hindi mo sasabihin, hindi mo siya papaluin sa kamay, oy, bastos ka, manyakis ka. Hindi po. Okay? Because that is natural for the child to undergo your phallic stage. Now, the latent stage natin dito, sabi ni Sigmund Freud, from 6 to puberty, this your libido here, your sexual urges here is inactive. Okay? So, inactive dito. Bakit inactive? Because this is the school age of the child. Okay? Nasa school siya, he's very busy with his schoolmates, his classmates, marami siyang activities, and so na-repress nga yung kanyang sexual urges. Now, sa genital mo naman, genital stage, this is from puberty to death. Sometimes we call this the sexual reawakening. Dahil remember, pagkatapos ng phallic stage mo, meron kang latent stage na nagpahinga muna yung sexual urges mo. Sa yung genital stage naman, sexual reawakening ito. Meaning, na-open na naman ulit yung sexual maturity ng isang bata, yung sexual urges ng isang tao. I mean, hindi na siya bata, no? Puberty to death na siya. But this time, the difference between your genital stage and your phallic stage is that yung phallic stage mo, the child is just exploring his own or her own genitals. Sa genital stage mo naman, you are already having urges towards a person of your opposite sex. So pag babae ka, meron ka ng nararamdaman for someone of the opposite sex. Sa lalaki may nararamdaman na siya for the babae, or maaari din naman sa ating mga LGBTQA, no? Sa maaari din naman sa mga tao na the same sex. Okay, the same gender as you have. Okay, so those are the different stages of psychosexual, no, according to Freud. So meron kang ALS, again ALS, oral, always, anal, no. So ALS, always play late games. Okay, so again, oral stage, your erogenous zone is the mouth. Anal stage, erogenous zone is the bowel. Then, of course, you have the phallic stage, genitals. That's your erogenous zone. For latent stage, there's no erogenous zone. No, the child has inactive sexual urges. Then, of course, genital stage, still you go back to your genitals, but your focus now are other people, not just yourself. Okay, so of course, the correct answer that we had there was the latent stage or latency or latent stage. Now we go to the next item. Again, this has all been discussed in this video. So this is a very important video for all of you, especially for ProfEd. So balikan niyo po yung video natin na yan. Now, number 10, Teacher Eileen begins a lesson on tumbling, demonstrating front and back somersaults in slow motion and physically guiding her students through the correct movements. As her students become more skillful, she stands back from the mat and gives verbal feedback about how to improve. With Vygotsky's theory in mind, what did Teacher Eileen do? Is it letter A, apprenticeship, letter B, guided participation, letter C, peer interaction, or letter D, scaffolding? What's your answer for question number 10? Again, maraming salamat po sa ating mga first timers, sa ating mga newbie. Maraming salamat po for tuning in. Balik-balik po kayo. And you can also go back to our YouTube channel. We have so many videos that can help you pass the LET. I'm pretty sure it's almost 200 videos. You go to our playlist for ProfEd, playlist for Gen Ed, and of course we also have the live stream videos. We already have almost 60 live stream videos. So balik po kayo doon. Okay, so again, welcome po sa ating mga first-timers and of course sa ating mga parokyano. Nandiyan po silang lahat to guide you. Magtanong lamang po kayo sa kanila pag meron kayong questions. And they are very accommodating. They would help you. And of course, wag po kayo mahihiyang mag-interact with them. Okay, we're already at question number 10. Teacher Eileen begins a lesson on tumbling, demonstrating front and back somersaults in slow motion. And as her students become more skillful, she stands back and gives verbal feedback. Okay, so on how to improve. With Vygotsky's theory in mind, what did Teacher Eileen do? Now, of course, your hint here is the term or the word, the name Vygotsky. And so you know that the correct answer here would be scaffolding. Okay, so scaffolding po is the correct answer. Ma'am Gracia Francisco, thank you po for starting a watch party. Okay, now these are some scaffolding strategies that we can use for our students. Pwede tayong gumamit ng visuals or realia. When you say realia, these are real-life objects. Pwede kang gumamit ng first language. So as you have noticed, sometimes I'd be using Filipino, I'd be using Tagalog to explain. So pwedeng first language ang gamitin. Read aloud, ask the students to read aloud. Pwede po yan. Modeling or gestures, ito yung ginamit ni Teacher Eileen kanina sa ating example. Meron ding small group or partner work. Sentence structures or starters, you connect it to the background knowledge of the child. That's why you need to have your motivation before you start your lesson. Pwede din naman graphic organizers. So these are the different scaffolding strategies that we have. And of course, the correct answer there would be scaffolding nga. Maraming salamat, Sir Omar Rodriguez and Ma'am Sai Francisco for starting a watch party. Now, according to Vygotsky, meron din tinatawag na zone of proximal development. No? So meron kang circles dito or meron kang area dito. Area A, your ZPD or your zone of proximal development. And you also have your area B. Your area E here, this is something that the student can do even without supervision, even without help, even without scaffolds. Okay, so these are stuff that learners can do. Yung ZPD mo naman, these are the things that your learners can do with scaffolding. Okay? So, that means pag wala kang scaffold, kung wala kang binigay na help sa students mo, ito lang yung pwede niyang gawin or kaya niyang gawin. But once you give them the scaffold, mas malaki or mas marami yung pwede nilang gawin. That's what you call the zone of proximal development. Yung B mo naman, ito yung area na kahit na may help na in-extend sa student, hindi pa rin niya kayang gawin. So, basically, it must be something, what you're trying to ask the student to do is something that's beyond his or her development. So, hindi pa niya talaga kayang gawin. No? One example that I can give, I have seen a post about Iya Villania, no? Nakita ko, the child, I'm not sure kung ilang months na yung baby niya, but she was already toilet training the child, okay? Which is something good and which is, that is not bad. And we know that she is doing everything that she can to help the child and also to teach the child. And so we know that she is a very good mom, but I don't think the child is developmentally able na for that kind of action. No, kasi months old pa lang yung baby niya, tino-toilet train niya na. We know that toilet training should go once a child would be from 1 to 3 years old. No? So dapat she should have waited for a few more months, no? From 1 or 1.5 years until 3 years old dapat yung toilet training. So again, this is letter B, na area na yan, kahit na may help ka na ine-extend sa student or sa bata, ay hindi pa rin niya kayang abutin dahil hindi siya mature enough, wala pa siyang maturity, wala pa siyang development to reach that goal or to reach the certain objective that you are giving him or her. Sir Migs on Team YouTube, maraming salamat po for your paayuda. Maraming salamat, Sir Migs. Welcome back. Okay, now we go to number 11. Below are the characteristics of constructivist teaching, except which one? Is it letter A, B, C, or D? Saglit lamang po. I need to charge my laptop. Okay, what's your answer for number 11? All right, karamihan sa ating Team Facebook, your answer is letter B. Dito sa ating Team YouTube, ganun din. Your answer is letter B. All right, now going back to your question here, 11, below are the characteristics of constructivist teaching, except one. Remember, constructivist teaching do not give the child the meaning of the word, but instead give the child activities, varied activities, so that the child may form his or her own meaning of that word, okay? And we know that the correct answer here would be letter B. The learners are not actively involved. We know that in your constructivism, in your constructivist method of teaching, dapat very much involved yung bata in the teaching learning process. So letter B is the correct answer for question number 11. Now we go to number 12 in the constructivist approach. Ganun pa rin po yung ating question. The following are the roles of a teacher except, is it letter A, scaffolds and guides, letter B, sage on the stage, letter C, empowering model, or letter D, warm demander? What do you think is the correct answer for number 12? Thank you for starting a watch party, Sir Mon de la Torre Lubrino and Sir Arnail Busmayon, Sir Omar Rodriguez, of course, maraming salamat, Sir Dax Akle. Okay, again, if this is your first time to watch us, make sure that you follow our Facebook page. You are subscribed to our YouTube channel. You go back to all the YouTube videos that we have. Balikan nyo po yun. Lahat ng YouTube videos natin so that you don't miss out on anything. Ma'am Cecil Afwang, maraming salamat po for sharing our video. And of course, we are also offering all the exclusive materials that we have through Grow. So balikan nyo po the beginning of this video so that you'll know how to become a member of Grow. Or you can also send a message through our through our Facebook page, yung Gurong Pinoy. Ito pong nagla-live na page ngayon sa ating Facebook, and of course sa team YouTube natin. Puntahan lang niyo po yung ating Facebook page na Gurong Pinoy. Now, a lot of you on YouTube are answering letter B. Dito naman sa ating Facebook, ganun din yung answer, letter B. And of course, that's the correct answer. Okay? So, sage on the stage. So again, sabi natin, pag constructivist point of view, you are giving varied activities to the students so that the students can form his or her own meaning of that word. Okay? He can form or she can form his own definition or her own definition of the word. So dapat nagsascaffold ka, nagbibigay ka ng help sa student at nag-guide ka. You are an empowering model. So that means you are modeling whatever it is that you want the student to do, no? So you empower him by modeling. Warm demander naman, this means you have very high demands, but there's warmth. That means you have also formed a relationship with your student. Hindi lang demand ng demand, meron ka ding very good relationship with your student. That's warm demander. So sage on the stage, that's the correct answer here. Now, this is according to McWilliam in 2009. According to him, there are 3 pedagogic stances. Pwede ka maging sage on the stage. So, pag sinabi mong sage on the stage kasi, this means expert. Okay? So, expert. So, pag sinabi mong sage on the stage, gusto mo yun na yung center of attention ay ikaw. Lahat ng attention nasa sayo. So, lecture ka ng lecture, explain ka ng explain, yung estudyante mo walang ginagawa, natutulog na yung iba. That's sage on the stage. Okay, expert on the stage. Meron ka din naman guide on the side. Pag sinabi mong guide on the side, facilitator na lamang ang iyong teacher. Okay, so the teacher here is just looking at what the students are doing, just making sure that the students are doing what they're supposed to be doing. If there are questions, and then the teacher is ready to offer a helping hand. That will be your guide on the side. So guide on the side ka na lamang, facilitator. Meron din tayong pangatlo, which is meddler in the middle. Nangingialam din yung teacher dito. Hindi siya yung dominant, hindi siya nagle-lecture ng lahat, pero meddler siya. So that means an involved co-learner or co-producer in the learning process. Sometimes we do this. For example, if we try to put them in pairs, tapos may isang walang ka-pair, no, tayo yung magiging pair. So sometimes we can also become the meddler in the middle. But most of the time, in the education process that we have now, education system that we have in the Philippines now, dapat is guide on the side na lamang tayo. Hindi tayo po pwede maging sage on the stage. Sa review center, we do sage on the stage, just like what I'm doing right now. I am being a sage on the stage because of course, we have very limited time, no? Sa review kasi, limitado yung time. So, direct instruction yung ginagawa. Okay? But of course, the correct answer there should be, hindi po pwede maging sage on the stage ka if you are trying to follow your constructivism. All right, now we go to number 13. According to Piaget's stages of cognitive development between ages 12 and 15, children reach formal operational stage. What are they capable of doing at this stage? Is it letter A, can focus on only one aspect of a situation or event? Letter B, can solve abstract problems and think deductively or inductively? Letter C, can categorize objects? Or letter D, can do multitasking? What do you think is the correct answer for 13? What's the answer for number 13? Sir Loreto, President Loreto Agbayani, Balikaw Jr., no, maraming salamat for starting a watch party. Pumunta siya dito sa team Facebook. Mahina ba yung signal ni Press? Mama Lupon, maraming salamat for starting a watch party. Hello to our good friend from Pakistan, Sir Usman Aziz. Thanks for watching. Welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while, sir. He is one of our watchers who's from another country, of another citizenship, another nationality. He's from Pakistan. And I've learned that Sir Usman is actually going to take the principal's test. If I'm not mistaken, he's gonna take the principal's test, and so he also watches our videos and sometimes would comment. And sometimes he'd tell me to please use English more often because, of course, he doesn't understand Filipino. He is currently watching on Facebook. Okay, now a lot of you are answering letter B for 13. What about here on Team YouTube? Okay, now a lot of you are also answering letter B on YouTube. Let's take a look at your question again. According to Piaget's stages of cognitive development, between ages 12 and 15, children reach formal operational stage. What are they capable of doing at this stage? The correct answer, of course, would be letter B. They can solve abstract problems and think deductively or inductively. That's the correct answer. When you say letter A here, can focus on only one aspect of a situation or event, we'd call this centration. Okay, centration, the child is only focused on one aspect of a certain object. Can categorize things, this is concrete operational. Can do multitasking, this can also be concrete operational. Let's take a look at the next slide that we have. So these are the different stages in cognitive development according to Piaget. So according to him, you have your sensory motor stage, your pre-operational stage, that's 2 to 7 years old, concrete operational stage, that would be 7 to 11 years old, and of course, formal operational stage, that's 12 and up. Now, whenever I teach this, I use the acronym SMART people, cook, fish. Okay, so again, we use the acronym SMART people, cook, fish. So we have 4 stages of cognitive development according to Piaget. Now, whenever we say from birth to 2 years old, whenever the child is in or is at the sensory motor stage, what we have here, what some the characteristics of your child here is that your child has these innate abilities or what we call instincts. Okay, so the child has so many reflexes. The child already knows how to cough, how to yawn, how to sneeze. Of course, these are our instincts. These are our innate abilities. No one has taught you how to cough, how to yawn, no? So nobody said when you cough, you need to open your mouth and you need to push out air from your lungs. No one has actually taught us how to do these things because these are innate capacities. These are innate abilities for us. These are our instincts. Now, aside from the instincts, the child here also has her reflexes. So the child has several different reflexes. Like the child has the grasping reflexes. Whatever the child has can reach, the child is going to grasp. That's why the child has the capacity, has the tendency to usually pull your hair. That's the grasping reflex of the child. The child also has the Moro reflex. What is the Moro reflex? If the child is sleeping, for example, and the child gets surprised or awakened by the noise, the child is going to do this action, then curl up. Okay, so that's the Moro reflex. There are several reflexes there that your child has. Now, another thing is that during this stage, the child also has the stranger anxiety that we talk about. Now, when you say stranger anxiety, the child is usually fearful of someone that he or she is not familiar with. So if the child sees a person and the person, for example, your friend wants to hold your child would usually cry because he feels scared of that person because the person is not familiar to him. Okay, that's stranger anxiety, and that's also one of the characteristics of your child during the sensory motor stage. Another thing that your child has here would be object permanence. So object permanence, when the child still has not reached the object permanence, the child would enjoy your peekaboo. Okay, kaya ka nagpipikabo sa bata because the child still has not reached, for example, the object permanence. That means out of sight, out of mind. Whatever is not seen by the child would think that it is not existing. Okay, it is not in existence. And so when you do this, when you cover your face, for example, the child does not mind you anymore, or the child does not think about you anymore. That's what we call out of sight, out of mind. That means the child still has not reached your object permanence. So the child would enjoy the peekaboo game, or sometimes you cover the child's toy and the child would forget about the toy. But once the child has already reached the object permanence, the child would already know that even if you cover the toy, that toy is already, or the toy is still under the blanket or under the cloth that you've used to cover it. Okay, so that means the child has already reached object permanence. So pag meron ng object permanence yung child natin, if the child has already reached object permanence, that child would usually already cry whenever we tell him bye. Okay, so gusto na niyang sumama sa inyo. The child already knows that even if the mom is going away say now, the mom is in existence. And so the child would already usually cry when you say bye to the child. That means the child has already reached object permanence, which is the hallmark of your sensory motor stage. Okay, that's the turning point already between your sensory motor and your pre-operational stage. Now, when you go to your pre-operational stage, which is from 2 to 7 years old, the child can already do several things. Okay, so the child here is very egocentric. Okay, so what we call egocentrism is the child thinks that whatever he or she sees, that is also what the other people around him can see. And so sometimes the child is very selfish, and the child would say, this is what I see, and so I think this is also what my mom or my daddy can see. We have seen this in an activity that Piaget has done to a certain child. No, yung ginawa ni Piaget, he has placed the child in front of an object, and from the viewpoint of the child can see three mountain tops. So he can see three mountains. And then Piaget has placed a clown or a doll opposite the child. From the point of view of the clown or the doll can only see one mountain. And so Piaget here has asked the child, can you draw what the clown can see? Pwede nyo bang i-drawing? Pwede mo bang i-draw kung ano yung nakikita ng clown? And so what the child has drawn were three mountain tops, because the child thinks that whatever he sees, that is also what other people around him can see. Okay, so egocentrism. That would be a very important part, a very important characteristic of a child under your operational stage. We also have what we call centration. Still in your pre-operational stage, the child can only see one aspect of a certain object. So the child can here, if you have this, no, if you have this as your example, if your child is still at your pre-operational stage, the child will say that the water here in this taller, narrower cup is more than the water that we have in your wider cup. Okay, even if they are equal amounts, the child will pick this as the glass with more water, because the child still has centration. He's just focused on one aspect of the object. Okay, so that's also one very important characteristic of your child in your pre-operational stage. Then, of course, we move on to your concrete operational stage. The child here can already categorize your objects, can already form series. So he or she can already arrange objects from smallest to largest. And he knows that there is already reversibility. When you say reversibility, the child would know that if you have a clay, for example, you have a certain amount of clay. If you roll it up into a ball, you can still flatten it up. Okay, so reversibility na. And then, of course, the child knows that subtraction is the opposite of addition. Okay, so that's your reversibility na. Reversibility. The child already has the reversibility skills. And of course, the child also has conservation. Conservation, that's decentration. That means here, at this point, the child already knows that these glasses, even if they have different shapes, they already have equal amounts of water in them. Okay, so that's your concrete operational stage. Then, of course, the highest would be your formal operational. The child can already do your processing skills here, your abstract reasoning. The child can already think whether the glass is half full or half empty. Okay, so that's the highest stage of cognitive development according to Piaget. But of course, the correct answer in our previous question was letter B. Okay, now again, nasa video pa rin po natin ito na purple yung thumbnail kanina. So balikan nyo po, lahat ng ito, I've also already discussed in that video. Now we go to number 14. Junjun does not realize that the juice in each glass can be poured back into the juice box where it came from. Junjun demonstrates what? Excuse me, inom lamang po ako ng tubig. All right, so again, going back here, we already have question number 14. What's your answer for question number 14? All right, so once again, for our first-timers, we welcome all of you. Balik-balik po kayo. We always have our live streams. And of course, make sure that you follow our Facebook page so that you can see all the updates that we have. And I'd also strongly recommend that you go back to our YouTube channel, you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go back to all the very important videos that we have, those things that we've already discussed. All right, what's your answer here? Junjun does not realize that the juice in each glass can be poured back into the juice box where it came from. Junjun demonstrates what? Is it letter A, egocentrism? Letter B, reversibility problem? Letter C, lack of object permanence? Or letter D, seriation problem? I've already discussed this a while ago. The correct answer, of course, would be letter B, reversibility problem. Junjun does not realize that you can still reverse a certain process, okay? He still has no reversibility concept. Egocentrism, again, the child is very selfish. The child thinks that whatever he or she can see, that is also what other people can see. Letter C here, the lack of object permanence. That means if something is out of sight of the child, if something is not present in front of the child, then the child still has the tendency to forget it. Now, letter D, seriation problem. When you say seriation, the child can form or can arrange the objects from smallest to largest, from shortest to longest. So that's your seriation. Of course, the correct answer here would be letter B, reversibility problem. Now we go to number 15. People who have an active sense of integrity, blank. Letter A, treat themselves as the most important person in the world. Letter B, sink into despair. Letter C, consolidate a sense of self. Letter D, want to make personal changes. So what do you think is the answer for question number 15? We're almost done. Thank you so much, Ma'am Fernally Mahinay Sarmiento Completado. Ang haba ng name ni Ma'am. For your positive feedback, she says very clear explanations. And Sir Shar or Ma'am Shar Antilino also says the same. Very clear explanations. Thank you. Napakalaking tulong po sa amin. Okay, so again, I strongly suggest if this is your first time to watch us, then go back to our YouTube channel and watch all the videos that we have, our live streams, our ProfEd playlist, and of course our Gen Ed playlist. Ma'am Chari Tuyay, hello po. Galing mo naman po mag-explain. God bless you po. Thank you po. Okay, what's your answer for 15? Iba-iba yung sagot nyo in or on Facebook. What about here on YouTube? What's your answer? Some of you are answering B, others C. All right, now let's take a look at your question here. Again, going back to your question, number 15, people who have an active sense of integrity. When you have integrity, what happens? Do you treat yourself as the most important person in the world? So you are the VIP, very important person in the world. Do you sink into despair? Do you cry a lot? Do you become depressed? Is it letter C? You consolidate a sense of self. You are very sure of yourself. You are very sure of your morals. You have a very strong standpoint. You have a very strong principle. You are a principled person. Or is it letter D? You want to make personal changes. You want to change yourself. Okay, the correct answer, of course, here would be letter C. You consolidate a sense of self. You are very sure of what you are as a person. You are very sure of your principles. You are very sure of your beliefs. So you have your conviction. That is the meaning of that. So the correct answer for 15 would be letter C. Consolidate a sense of self. That's the correct answer. Now we go to number 16. Who among the following used animals as models for human behavior? Is it letter A, Lewin, letter B, Tallman, letter C, Wertheimer, or letter D, Piaget? What's the correct answer for number 16? Almost done na tayo. Ligwax, sabi ni President Loreto dito sa Facebook. Ba't ka lumipat, sir? Mahina signal? Iniwan mo daw yung Team YouTube. Nagtatampo yung Team YouTube, President. Ligwak, si Sir Migs. Hula. Okay lang po yan. Importante po ay tama na sa left. Okay, so balikan po lahat ng videos natin, tingnan, analyze carefully, basahin carefully, especially sa ating ProfEd, usually, yung answer po ay nasa question. So, dapat alam nyong i-analyze yung question, basahin maigi yung question hanggang sa huli, hanggang sa dulo. Ganun din sa ating choices, basahin hanggang sa dulo. All right, now who among the following used animals as models for human behavior? The correct answer here is letter B. That's tall man. The rest of these used people in their study of human behavior. Okay, so letter B, tall man, is the correct answer. This is the study of Tolman with Honzik, spatial learning in rats. And so what he used here were rats, no? Sasabi niya, this is what we also call purposive behavior. He or Tolman said the action of an organism is influenced by the purpose. Okay, so there is always the purpose to our action. He has used rats, and those rats that were rewarded, they learned the maze. Those rats that were not given reward, they improved slightly. Okay, getting out was a small reward, but those rats who were given delayed reward, days 11 to 17, they caught up to rewarded group, and then they did even better. So that means if we are rewarded, then we do better. Okay, so if you have small kids, for example, it's always a very good method for you to try to teach them behavior. No, reward and punishment. Na yung rewards natin, that is what Tolman and Hansik used in the study of the rats. And so Tolman, of course, that's the correct answer. Now, the rest of the people that we have there, the first one, of course, was Lewin. He is the father of organization development. He emphasized the importance of individual personalities, interpersonal conflict, and situational variables. In Lewin's field theory, he proposed that behavior is the result of the individual and his environment. So individual and the environment, that's according to Lewin's field theory. All right, now these are the 3 laws of human behavior according to Lewin. Law number 1, the behavior tends to follow the status quo unless it is acted upon by a decrease in friction or increase in fuel. So again, if we are rewarded, for example, if there is less restriction, then your behavior tends to change, no? But if there is none, if there's no change in the reward, also no change in the restriction, no change in the law, then our behavior tends to just follow status quo, meaning whatever is the present situation, then we try to just maintain the present situation. Law number 2 here, behavior is a function of the person and their environment. This was what we discussed a while ago, and this is according to Lewin's field theory nga. And law number 3, for every decision made, there are trade-offs and the potential for unintended consequences. So for every decision that you make, sometimes you bargain, and usually there are unintended consequences. Merong results sometimes that we don't expect. Sometimes the result can be positive, otherwise the result can also be negative. So that means before you make a decision, mag-isip-isip muna. Okay, take your time to think. Do not decide in haste. Huwag kang magmadali. Kung meron kang several suitors nowadays, no, kung marami kang manliligaw, take your time, get to know each of them dahil sabi nga nila, nasa huli yung pagsisisi. Okay, so sabi dito ng field theory ni Lewin, for every decision, there are usually trade-offs and sometimes, or there are also potential unintended consequences. So take your time when you are making your decisions. Okay, so of course, the correct answer for our question there was Tolman. Now, ito naman si Max Wertheimer, siya yung nagbigay sa atin ng Gestalt psychology, no? Yung focus on perception. Now, remember Gestalt, this is a German word which means form. This means form. Or whole, no? Gestalt means whole, configuration, pattern, or form nga. And Gestalt psychology is illustrated how we tend to perceive separate pieces of information as integrated wholes. So sabi ni Max Wertheimer, the whole is more than the sum of its parts. That's Gestalt psychology. He opposed the approach of Wundt. Remember, Wundt is the father of modern psychology. This was one of the questions coming from Team YouTube yesterday. Okay, so sabi ng ating Gestalt psychologist, the whole is more than the sum of its parts. And of course, the father of Gestalt psychology is Max Wertheimer. Now, number 17, which of the following clearly illustrates negative reinforcement? Is it letter A, a teacher promises extra time in the play area to children who behave well during the lesson? Letter B, a teacher announces that a student who gets an average grade of 90 for the 2 grading periods will no longer take the final examination. Letter C, a teacher promises an early recess to her students who are hesitant to begin their seat work. Or letter D, a teacher announces that students who clean their room without being asked will earn extra points. What's your answer for number 17? Time check, it's 8:10 here, so that means 9:10 na pala sa Pilipinas. Medyo mahaba yung ating discussion today kasi marami tayong theories. Okay, what's your answer for number 17? Many of you on Team Facebook are answering letter B. Okay, ganun din dito sa ating YouTube. Your answer is letter B. We are looking for negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement. And the correct answer here, of course, would be letter B. Ito po yung ating tamang sagot. A teacher announces that a student who gets an average grade of 90 for the 2 grading periods will no longer take the final examination. Now, let's take a look at the difference between your positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Now, we need to remember that negative reinforcement is not the same as punishment. Hindi po siya punishment. The goal of your positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement is just the same. It is to increase behavior. Yung punishment mo kasi, you are doing this, you are giving punishment so that they avoid doing something. Okay, they are avoiding doing something. But your positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, they are the same in their goal. Their goal is to increase behavior. Now, what's the difference? When you say positive reinforcement, you are adding something. Okay, so for example, your letter A, your C and D there, those are all positive reinforcement. Your letter A kasi sabi, promises extra time, giving extra time. You are giving something, so that's positive reinforcement. Promises early recess, okay? Announcements to clean the room can earn extra points. So again, if you are giving something, that's positive reinforcement. But when you are taking away something which they don't like, and so that will be negative reinforcement. So what happens in letter B here? You said they would no longer take the final examination. So you took out or you took away the final examination. Of course, they don't like this because if they are going to have the final examination, they still need to prepare for it. They still need to study hard for it. And so we say that that is negative reinforcement. I repeat, negative reinforcement is not the same as your punishment. Okay, because the goal of negative reinforcement is to increase behavior. You take away something to increase behavior. For your punishment, the goal of your punishment is so that the child would avoid doing something. Okay, not increasing behavior, but decreasing behavior. All right, now we go to number 18. Recent researchers reveal limitations of behaviorist views, but they continue to influence education. Which of these demonstrates the influence of behaviorist theories on effective learning? What's your answer for 18? This is the third to the last question. All right, maraming salamat for your positive feedback, Sir Jeffrey Arida on Team YouTube. Grabe ma'am, daming sauluhin sa ProfEd. Sana maipasok lahat sa brain cells ko. Kayang-kaya po yan, sir. Wag pong i-memorize, intindihin po natin. Thumbs up sa explanation, 100% helpful po, Ma'am Meg. Maraming salamat, Sir Jeffrey Arida. Ma'am Shane and Dino, still on Team YouTube. Thank you po. Ang galing ni Ma'am sa lahat ng napakinggan, intindi talaga. Salamat po. Sir Nelson Quadra on Team YouTube. Habol po tayo, sir. Na-late si sir. Helpful po ito sa akin, ma'am. Salamat po sa tiyaga nyo para mag-explain. 2009, okay. Ngayon, mag-try ulit ako. Makakapasa na din ako dahil sa inyo. Maraming salamat, ma'am Fernally. Kompletado. Do not give up on your dreams. Kayang-kaya po yan. maaring nagkulang lang po tayo ng preparation last time. Okay? So again, make sure that you continue listening to us. You continue your review, your online review. And if you, of course, want to have a copy of all the things that we're discussing, also all the slides that we're using in our discussion, then you can become a member of Grow. It's very cheap. We are the cheapest. It's only 500 pesos as a one-time payment until you take the lab. Okay, and if you are bio major, English major, social science major, and English major, we're also offering 1,250 only for Gen Ed, Prof Ed, and majorship. Okay, so habol po kayo, kayang-kaya pa po. Yung majorship po natin, di pa po nag-start. We are going to start by the 3rd week of December until March. Sir Richard TV, ano po yung gusto nyong i-download, sir? Ma'am, pwede ma-download. Pwede nyo pong i-download yung video if you want. Ma'am Shane Endino, biology major from Zamboanga City. Please go to our Facebook page later, ma'am, and send us a message. Dahil meron po tayong mga automatic responses doon sa ating Facebook page. And so we can easily answer the questions that you have. Okay, now number 18 here, recent researchers reveal limitations of behaviorist views, but they continue to influence education. Which of these demonstrates the influence of behaviorist theories? The correct answer here, of course, would be letter D. Letter D po ang ating tamang sagot, program instruction. Of course, this is part of your operant conditioning theory. Of course, when you say conditioning theories, these are still part of your behaviorism. You have two types of conditioning there. No, classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov, and of course, you have operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner. And Skinner also gave us programmed instruction, your computer-aided instruction. Now, program instruction, this is the correct answer. Blended learning, this is what we're doing right now. So may modular learning tayo. Problem solving using the HOTS. Your HOTS here would, of course, mean higher order thinking skills. This is cognitive, no? Cognitive, this is all in the mind. Journal writing, of course, this is trying to improve your students' writing skills. But of course, the correct answer here would be programmed instruction because this is part of your operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner. So again, balikan nyo po lahat ng mga previous videos natin, especially ProfEd natin, Gen Ed playlist, may live streams din po tayo na playlist. Maraming videos doon, almost 60 videos. So balikan nyo pong lahat ang ating mga discussion. Okay, so letter D is the correct answer here. Number 19, which of the following observations can be explained by classical conditioning? Okay, so this is already about classical conditioning. I've just mentioned this a while ago. Yes, Sir Sean Larazi, yes, pwede pa po kayong umabol sa majorship natin. 3rd week of December pa po tayo mag-uumpisa. Yes, Sir Ferdinand Molina, mas maganda po palang online review kasi may rationale. Thanks po. Yes, meron po tayong rationalization. Mas maintindihan nyo po kasi through the explanation. Ma'am Nahira Lasta Donghin, salamat po sa pagbigay ng maliwanag na explanation. Sana makapasa sa tulong niyo, ma'am. Ngayon ko lang kung alam yung ism, ma'am, at iba pa. So there are so many concepts po on professional education. So again, balikan niyo po lahat ng videos natin. Thank you po, ma'am. Okay, now, a lot of you on Team YouTube are answering letter D. Ganun din sa ating Team Facebook. Okay, Sir Aladdin Kalot on YouTube says, thank you, Ma'am Mex. Second time, pero daming natututunan. Balik po kayo, sir. I learned a lot from you, ma'am. That's from Sir TJ Abarquez Tante. Maraming salamat po. Wala pa po tayong Filipino major, Sir Mark Teofil Mission. We already have our materials. We also have the lectures, but we don't know if we can offer our Filipino major. We will see what we can do. Maybe we can ask our lecturer to just offer lectures. We will find out po. We are still trying to decide what if we can offer more majorship. Okay, naantok na daw si Ma'am Eva Cuenca. So let's try to go to the question now. Which of the following observations can be explained by classical conditioning? The correct answer here would be letter D. A person becomes fearful at the mere sight of the dentist's office. Tandaan nyo po, pag classical conditioning, Ivan Pavlov, that would be phobia and trauma. Lahat po ng phobia, trauma, that will be under classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov. So sabi dito, the person is fearful at the mere sight of the dentist's office. That means the person has phobia of the dentist. Okay, so that would be classical conditioning. So this has been the classical conditioning experiment ni Ivan Pavlov. He used the bell as the neutral stimulus, and of course, unconditioned stimulus mo would be the food. Bakit unconditioned stimulus yung food? Dahil of course, naturally, whenever food is given, magsasalivate itong dog mo. Okay? So, maglalawa yung dog pag nakita niya yung food. And so, we say that is something that's natural. And so, we call this food your unconditioned stimulus. Yung bell mo naman, this has been called the neutral stimulus dahil pag niring mo yung bell, walang effect sa dog. Okay? That's before conditioning. Now, during conditioning, what he used was that he paired the bell, the ringing of the bell, with the food. So every time he'd give the food to the dog, he would also be ringing the bell. And so the dog has formed some connection between the ringing of the bell and the food. And so after conditioning, your bell has already become your conditioned stimulus. Okay, so that means every time that Pavlov would just be ringing the bell, even if without the food, even if there's no food, the dog would already start salivating. Naglalaway na yung aso dahil na-condition na yung mind niya na associate na niya yung ringing of the bell with the food. Okay? So that's your classical conditioning. Again, Ivan Pavlov, classical conditioning, phobias, traumas. If you see these questions in the letter, answer will be classical conditioning, Ivan Pavlov. Now, when you see questions in the letter with regards to rewards, punishment, feedback, reinforcement, computer-aided instruction, your answer would be B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning. B.F. Skinner, that's Burroughs Frederick Skinner, and that would be operant conditioning. So again, operant conditioning mo naman, reward, punishment, reinforcement, feedback, and computer-aided instruction. Kaya yung sagot natin a while ago was programmed instruction. Okay, but of course, the correct answer here would be phobia, trauma. That's classical conditioning. Now we go to the last question for tonight. Last question na po tayo. 20, it is based on the belief that learning occurs when learners are actively involved in the learning process and not just passive receivers of information. What's your answer for number 20? Social science major, yes po. Sir Elson Frel Maange. Punta po kayo sa ating Facebook page. Meron po tayong social studies. Punta po kayo doon. Ganon din kay Sir TJ. May social studies po tayo. So punta po kayo sa ating Facebook page later. Ma'am, sana kahit material po sa MAPE, meron po tayong lecture for MAPE. But of course, we are looking at your number kung po pwede po natin kunin yung ating lecture. Because of course, our lecturers are paid 500 pesos every hour that they lecture. Meron po tayong materials. We also have the lectures. But again, we're looking at the number of people that are going to enroll. Kahit materials lamang po, we'll see what we can do. Again, just follow our Facebook page so that you can be updated po. If we can give the materials, we will see. Of course, we're looking at the number of people that are going to enroll because as I've mentioned, we're also paying your lecturers 500 pesos every hour that they are lecturing. Okay, last question. Last question na po. This is number 20. It is based on the belief that learning occurs when learners are actively involved in the learning process and not just passive receivers of information. The correct answer here, of course, would be your letter B, constructive learning. Sir Richard TV on YouTube, Gurong Pinoy pa rin po. Hanapin niyo po yung Gurong Pinoy at hanapin niyo po yung ating official Facebook page, yung nakalagay po na Iloilo City. Okay, yan yung sabi ni Sir Ray Lobrigito. Yung 6 pa lang kasi yung mga MAPE na nag-vote doon. Okay, Sir Michael Reyes, maraming salamat po. He says he has learned a lot of things. All right? So, hindi po siya experiment learning. Again, when the student becomes actively involved in the learning process, not just passive receivers of information, that's constructivism. Okay, constructivism, experiment learning, of course, you are just using experimentation, experiments as a process of teaching. Collaborative learning, the students are learning together, so you can form teams, you can form groups small, you can form pairs. Conceptual learning, the student is just learning a certain concept. So the correct answer would be constructive learning. Constructive learning. Social studies, punta po kayo doon. Meron po tayong social studies na majorship. Okay, so maraming salamat. And of course, that ends our discussion tonight. Again, next weekend po, we are going to have our exclusive mid-review exam for our Grow members. So pag hindi pa po kayo members ng Grow, magpa-member na po kayo ng Grow para sali po kayo sa ating mid-review exam. Mid-review exam again next weekend. That's going to be exclusive for our FB growers, no? Our Grow members. If you don't know what Grow is, punta po kayo sa ating Facebook page at mag-send po kayo ng message to our Facebook page. That's Gurong Pinoy. Hanapin nyo po, i-search nyo lamang po sa Facebook and that's going to pop out, no? Marami po kasing Gurong Pinoy nakalagay doon. Hanapin nyo po yung ating logo and of course, may nakalagay po doon Place Iloilo City. Yan po yung ating official Facebook page. Meron din po tayong dalawang groups doon, Gurong Pinoy Let Online Group and yung Grow. Yung Grow nga, that's going to the venue. That's the venue where we send all the exclusive materials that we have. All right. So for tonight, again, we are going back. Thank you from Kuwait pala si Sir Arnel Busmion. Okay, thank you po. Maraming salamat for tuning in. And of course, we end the night with our closing prayer. This has been prepared still by Brother Efren Esteban. Okay, so please join us in our closing prayer as we close this weekend's live stream.
Lord God, sinabi mo po sa iyong mga salita na kahit kailan ay di mo pinapabayaan ang mga sumusunod at nagtitiwala sa iyo. Binibigay mo ang nais ng kanilang mga puso. Pinapatatag mo ang kanilang mga lakad. Pinagtatagumpay mo sa kanilang buhay. Iniaangat kung sila man ay nanghihina at iniingatan sa lahat ng pagkakataon. Nawa ay maibilang mo kami, Panginoon. Ikaw po ang aming dakilang pastol. Nalalaman mo kung nasaan ang batis ng tubig at ng masaganang pagkain. Kami po na yung mga tupa ay walang kapangyarihan o kakayahan na makita o matagpuan ang mga bagay na ito. Panginoon, pangunahan mo po kami sa lahat ng aming mga lakad. Sa amin pong pansamantalang pagtatapos sa online review na ito, ay sana ay baon namin ang katalinuhan, kalakasan ng loob, at lalo tikit ng pananampalatayang gumagawa. Tanggapin mo po, Ama, ang nagkakaisang panalangin ng iyong mga lingkod. Sa pangalan ni Jesus, ito po, Ama, ang aming panalangin. Amen.
Amen. Maraming salamat, Brother Efren, again, for always preparing our closing and opening prayers. So sa muli, that ends our discussion tonight. And of course, balik-balik po kayo for our next live streams and go back to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and check whatever it is that we can do to help you pass the LET. All right, so we say goodbye for now, but of course, we are coming back for more of our discussion. And so again, maraming salamat po for tuning in. Of course, go to our Facebook page, go to our YouTube channel, and find out or see or check all the videos that we have there that can help you pass the LET. So sa muli, ito po si Coach Mek ng inyong Gurong Pinoy na nagsasabing maliit man na butil ng mga kaalaman, ang dulo nito ay malaking kaginawaan. Maraming salamat. Good night po mga kaguro. Bye!